family well-being is one of the focus points of the Anambra State government, and this is according to the state governor, Willie Obiano, who has flagged off the first round of the 2015 National Program on Immunization in the state. Governor Obiano urged every family in the state to take seriously the issue of childhood killer diseases.
This is another campaign, but this time it is not a political jamboree. It is a campaign against early childhood killer diseases such as tuberculosis, pertussis, tetanus, poliomyelitis and hepatitis, among others. Governor Willie Obiano, alongside his wife and other government functionaries, decide to take this campaign against poliomyelitis to Nibo community in Oka South local government area of the state.
Polio is almost completely eradicated in Anambra State. Whooping cough and other things. So the value of immunization can never be underestimated.
The wife of the governor, Mrs. Ebele Obiano, announces that the program will run from March to April this year.
I consider anything that touches the welfare of mother and child very important, because prenatal care is the backbone for building and maintaining healthy citizenry.
The governor asks the parents, caregivers and community leaders to ensure that the eligible children are always taken for immunization, stressing that prevention is better than cure.
The infrastructure includes buildings like this, plus also the things that are required by doctors to be able to attend to patients. That's what I classify as infrastructure. Then second is comfort of the patients, very important. And that's why all the health centers must have running water, very clean toilet facilities, and as much as possible, a lot of light to support the comfort of the patients. The third one that is critical is retraining of nurses and the welfare.
The governor and his wife also administer polio vaccines to some of the babies. He also uses the occasion to commission the new staff quarters for the Nibo community and congratulates the state for taking the top position in immunization for 2 consecutive years in 2012 and 2013.
Well, care of the eyes now. Well, attention around the health world is on how to beat the invincible glaucoma, which has been described as the silent thief of sight. Now, although there seems to be no accurate data on the burden of glaucoma in Nigeria, some studies put the prevalence between 8 and 10% in the over 40 age group. On our Focus on Health tonight, our correspondent Yomi Otaibi reports that the strength of glaucoma could be taken away when detected early.
The eyes are perhaps the most sensitive and delicate organs in the body, as they present individuals with a window through which they view the world. Just as there are several roads that lead to a bright and beautiful eyes, there are many contending factors for this sensitive body organ. One of them is glaucoma.
Glaucoma actually is a group of diseases with pressure which is high enough to cause damage to the back of the eye, where we call the optic nerve, and also cause changes in the visual field of this patient. Number one risk factor is family history of glaucoma. Age of the patient, older age group, they are more likely to have glaucoma than younger age group. Other comorbidities, like hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol level, all this can also, make glaucoma to be worse in such patients. Then some eye problems, like use of, patients that are short-sighted, or even patients that are long-sighted also have a type of glaucoma. Then use of drugs, especially in our young chaps, use of steroids, long use of steroids.
Glaucoma have over the years shown the ability to silently erode the eyes and cause vision loss, as there are typically no early warning signs or symptoms. By the time a person is aware of vision loss, then the deed is almost done.
Most glaucoma patients will not say something like, oh, everywhere looks smoky. They'll just say my vision looks dark. For people who have very high pressures, about 40, 50 millimeters of mercury, they could tell you, oh, when I look at a bulb, I see rainbow colors around bulbs. And that's a very important sign for glaucoma. Sometimes they just say my vision fluctuates. I wake up in the morning, I'm not seeing so well. By evening, it clears a bit. And some people would say something, I found this very unusual. I haven't seen it in any textbook. But a lot of my patients will say something like, Doctor, I feel there's water in my eye. It's not a death sentence, and it doesn't mean the person is going blind. But it means, I'd rather tell patients, don't reject glaucoma and say, oh, I can't have it. Reject what follows glaucoma by helping to detect it early.
Reversing the effects of glaucoma on sight is dependent on how much ground it has covered.
Management of glaucoma falls within 3 categories. We have the medical management, in which patients will be on drugs. We have the surgical management, in which you do surgery. And we have the laser treatment. For those that fall within these the risk factors I've mentioned, they must have their eyes checked, like maybe every 6 months or at least once a year. If you don't fall within these risk factors, I don't have any family history or things, at least just have your eyes checked maximally every 2 years.
Taking care of your eyes should be deliberate and part of your daily routine. Diet rich in fruits and vegetables, particularly carrots. Regular eye checks and avoiding trauma to the eyes are some of the important ways to healthy and clear eyes. Yomi Otaigwe reporting for Channels Television News.
Business News. The 243rd meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is expected to hold next week. This will be the committee's second meeting for this year. At a 2-day meeting, the CBN is expected to implement policies that will influence the Nigerian economy in the next few weeks as the nation prepares for the general elections. At the end of its last meeting in January, the NPC maintained the benchmark rate at 13%. The CBN also suspended the retail Dutch auction system window, leading to a devaluation of the naira. Well, the Lotus Islamic Index of the Nigerian stock market is one of the best performing sectors of the local bulls. With 15 main stocks representing non-interest investment under the sector, the room for ethical portfolio appears to have attracted investors. Temple Ashaju now reports.
Non-interest investment, otherwise known as Islamic investment, is the model that has its presence in the Nigerian capital markets. The introduction of the NSE Lotus Islamic Index in 2012 is a pointer to this fact.
You have the Lotus Islamic Index weaved around stocks that do not, ethical stocks, so to say. So you don't find the banking stocks in there. You don't find the hardcore stocks in there.
You have a strong population of Muslims in Nigeria and around the world. So for FDIs who would also take up advantage of this, for investors probably in the Middle East, a lot of whom are predominantly Muslims, it's an opportunity, it's a perfect enroute into the Nigerian market.
With growing demand for ethical investments in the country, the index has performed 44.59% since inception, and brokers believe that this performance is a reflection of the healthy fundamentals of the stocks.
We have Cadbury, we have Okomo Oil, Presco, PZ, Nestle, and quite a number of you like that. They are stocks that, a would-be investor will want to contain its portfolios.
The Pension Commission recently reviewed its regulations for assets investments. The new guideline allows administrators to invest in Islamic instruments in the capital markets.
With the inclusion of all of these, the sukuk into the provisions for pension and the kind of investments, the exposure generally to the capital market, the first thing you're going to be noticing is that there will be lesser volatility. With pension comes patient capital. They are not under pressure, to like most of the other capital funds that we see that are performance-driven.
Besides sectoral classification of equities into Sharia-compliant stocks, the Nigerian capital market currently has one listed halal fund and one Islamic exchange-traded fund. Temple Ashaju, Channels Business News.
Well, that's it on Business News. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Sulaiman will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's Flying Eagles gone for a record 7th CAF Under-20 Championship title as they confront host Senegal in the final tomorrow. That's in sports news. Stay with us.